Alright everybody, welcome back to Raven's View. Today we're going to draw a ooch. Ooch is Tlingit for wolf, so that's what we're going to draw today is a ooch. We're going to do a ooch head, so a sha, ooch sha. So that's going to be a underline G O-O-C-H, wolf. Ooch. Alright, here we go. So this is going to be similar to some of the other drawings that we've done. And we start off with an ovoid, and we're going to piece it together. We're going to take little pieces, put them on the paper, and different form line shapes, and then we're going to erase part of them. So they're kind of little building blocks. Eventually, once you start to practice, you won't have to do step by step like this. You can just probably draw the outline and draw from the out in. But in this case, we're going to work from kind of the in and out and kind of build it outwards. A couple different methods here. So for this first one, we want to make sure that you have your paper horizontally. And we're going to draw an ovoid in here over to the left-hand side of the paper. We want to leave some room at the top, though, because this gooch is going to have a big ear, a gook, a big, long, tall one. So we need to have some room for that. So the ovoid that we're going to draw is going to be a little bit at an angle, kind of slantwards up that way. So I'm going to start off with some sketch out some what do you call it? Just kind of contour lines to kind of get a rough draft of where I think I want my ovoid to be. So we'll start off with that. And I'm going to put a couple guidelines across the side, and let's see, maybe another guideline right across here. And these are just a little bit angled. Alright, now we're going to take this and turn it into a form line. Well, actually we're going to turn it into an ovoid first. So we're just going to take this and curve off the top corners. So the top corners have more of a curve that comes up. And same thing with this side. This side is going to have more of a curve that comes up to meet the top. Try to get them as close as you can. It's always hard. Sometimes I have to kind of go back and redraw because I like one side better than the other, or this side better than the other, and I kind of have to make a little bit of adjustments. So the trick is here, when you first start off, is to draw pretty lightly, because we're going to do some erasing. Down on the bottom corners here, then we're going to come down and follow this line, and the bottom is going to have a little bit of a less of a curve, kind of a shorter, smaller curve, and these lines are going to be across the bottom. Same thing on this side. This side is going to have less of a curve that comes up, and then meet this other side. That's pretty good. I could probably make a little teeny adjustments here as we go. And, you know, that's what you do. You just make little adjustments here and there. Perfection is unattainable. So, we do what we can. It's just for fun anyway. This is just all fun. Okay, we'll go with that for today. The idea is you don't want any points on there, so I'm trying to knock down the points as best as I can. Okay, let's see, what else? So we're going to turn this into a Formline Ovoid. So the top portion from here to here, and we're going to put another ovoid inside of here, basically the same shape, shrink it down inside the middle here. When you shrink it down and put it in the middle, the space from here to here is going to be the biggest, widest section. So I'm going to sketch out a little bit of kind of where I want that to be, or how wide I want that to be. The bottom portion from here to here is going to be the skinniest section. So I'm going to kind of sketch out somewhere in here maybe. The sides are going to be somewhere in between. So I'm going to take this and find one of these sketch lines that I have here, and then it should be parallel to this side. So as you come across, you're going to make the same curve and then slowly come up and then meet the top. And this top is going to be parallel as well, just a smaller version of it. Shorter curve on the bottom, more of a curve on the top. Alright, let's see. Not too bad, but you know, always room for a little improvement. I always have a tricky time getting both sides to be symmetrical or the same curve. I always end up liking one curve over another, and I think it's just because of the way that your pencil goes up or down, and it's tough to make it identical curves on both sides. So we have a Formline Ovoid now. A formline is a line that forms two lines that form this shape, and this shape is an ovoid shape. And that's the first shape that we normally start off with when we do a lot of the different designs here. And it flows from wide to medium to skinny, and that creates tension and a little bit of kind of energy throughout our design. And we'll have that repetition of wide to skinny to medium all throughout the whole design here. And let's see, next thing we're going to do is we're going to figure out how to get a nose on here. And when we do a nose on a wolf or a ooch, it's going to be a little bit longer than some of the other designs because it has that really long snout. So start off by extending this bottom line from here out. And let's see, we're going to extend this other line out, and instead of just going straight out, it's going to come down slightly. So here we go, we're going to extend down just a little teeny bit here. We might need to alter this line just a little bit, but I think that's looking pretty good so far. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we're going to put a snout in here. And to put this snout, it's going to be kind of like an oblong shaped ovoid. And so it's going to have the same idea though, so it's going to curve up on the bottom, curve up, and this snout is going to go taller than this top line that we have here. So curl up around, back down, and we'll just kind of hang out here for a second. We're going to do something with another line down here on the bottom in just a minute. So kind of a little curve up, ovoid circular kind of shape, as best as you can. Alright, something like that. Let's see. Okay, so now we have this U shape. We have this leg and this leg of the U shape. I'm going to make, we want to have these corners open, and so that means we're going to leave space between here and here before we have this other line. So I'm going to start this other line here, and it's going to go skinnier and then slightly bigger, just a little teeny bit. And we're going to match kind of this line here. So this line is where it's going to kind of end up being similar. And we're going to extend it out right out to here. Okay, we'll come back to that in a second. This other side is going to be the same thing. So this distance, or this width right here, we're going to try to match over here. So it's going to start off and taper inwards slightly. something like that. All right, now let's see, what are we going to do? So we have this bottom line here now, so we're going to create this inside part of this ovoid, and it's going to be kind of a spirally ovoid shape, I guess. So as this comes in, it's going to hug this side, come up, and we're going to have a bigger space up on top, similar to this where there's a bigger space and a smaller space. We're going to try to mimic that. So we have a kind of a smaller space down here, so we want to kind of reach out and let that top space breathe just a little bit up here. And then as we come in, we're going to create a little more tension as this comes around, and then curve in towards the bottom. So something kind of like that. I'm just going back over to solidify those lines. Alright, so now this one is going to come over, and I'm just going to adjust this. So I want this side to be skinnier than this side for this particular ovoid. We're just going to pinch it in just a little teeny bit here. So as I come in, I'm going to just make a little adjustment here and take this line and swing it in a little bit tighter on that side, so that it has a little bit of spring or something like that, you know, a little bit of dimension, a little bit of depth. Okay, so now let's see, what are we going to do here? We're going to come up and make a kind of an S shape from here, and this S shape is going to end up coming and finishing somewhere up here. So I'll start right about here and then come down. Little S curve there. Alright, so we'll hang out there for a second and leave that there just for now. Let's see, we might adjust it just a little bit as we go along here. This other side though, let's see, we're going to have this and kind of break off to the side a little bit. So this is going to be a U shape on this side. So if I were to make a U shape, this U shape is going to come up, and I'm going to put the U shape here, and we're going to kind of alter it a little bit. So we have this leg for this U shape. The other part of the U that we're going to put on is going to be somewhere maybe right around here. So if I took this whole side and just imagine that this side to this side is this U, so you can kind of see this U shape in here. That's where the border is going to be. We're going to do a little bit of erasing. So instead of bringing this U shape all the way to the bottom, we're just going to stop right here, right where this line's at. So we don't even actually really need this other line in here. So it's just kind of stop there. So this other line here, we're going to make a Formline U shape. So it's going to come up, curve around a little bit. So we're putting these two lines together. We're going to alter this corner up here. So draw lightly. I'm just showing you kind of the building blocks, and then afterwards we'll kind of deconstruct them a little bit and make them into these other shapes that we're going to be working with here. So basically you're just going to come up and round the corners off. Alright, something like that. So there's a U. So you can see this U that's kind of hiding in here. I'm going to solidify this corner a little bit more now. Bring that up to the top. So there's this U shape, and if you were to imagine, this would be kind of the rest of that U that's going around here. Alright, so let's see, what do we got next here? So this is going to flow up, and what I want to do is I want to break this off and kind of attach this. Actually, I see this corner. Let's attach this corner. So we have this U here. We're going to bridge this over to this snout, this nose. So just extend this line, and as you get across the nose here, then we're going to do a little curve up and just kind of curve it in just a little bit towards the top of that nose. And make sure that that nose is just a little bit higher than this bridge that we have here. I'm going to knock this corner out right here, erase this line, because I'm going to put a point. We're going to add kind of a little curve into it here. So it's going to come off of this line. And then we're going to extend this line over from here over. So we're making a little corner up here. And now that I have that corner, we're going to do a little erasing then. Like I said, we're going to have some building blocks in here, and then we're going to knock them down so you can see where these pieces fit together. Later on, you might not need to do all of these little steps. You'll just swing from one rung to the next rung to the next rung, and just like on a playground or something. Alright, so we have this line curving up into here. Let's see, this line is kind of get rid of this line now. So inside here you can see this is kind of turning into a little bit of a curve. S curve up and over. This one's coming down. To there. Alright. Now I'm going to clean these lines up just a little bit here. There we go. How's that looking? Okay, so now this is flowing from here to here, all the way across, and up and around into the nose. We can take this little notch out of here in the nose so that it flows all the way through, all the way through, all the way through. This corner is going to come down and slightly bend in just a little bit, merge into that ovoid. Same thing with this. This is going to come down and kind of merge and bend just a little teeny bit. And as we do that, then we have this little gate that we're going to open up. Open up that gate so that it flows into here. Open up this little gate on this side so that this flows into there. And now I'm going to go back and just darken up this other line from this ovoid that's over here. There we go. Something like that. We're going to put the jaw. We'll leave this for as it is for now. We'll come back to it. And we're just going to work on the primary shapes, and then we'll come back and do the secondary shapes, or the primary form line. We'll come over and do part of the jaw now. So the jaw is going to come off of this back part of the head. And here, I'll move over. You can see there. So this is going to come down and just kind of extend a line right from the back of the head, and then a little bit of a curve on the bottom. And then this is going to come out and just pretty much just go straight across to here. We're going to stop somewhere right around here with this line. So this is just going to come out right to there. So that's the bottom part of the jaw. We're going to do the inside part of that jaw, and the inside part of the jaw is going to come off of this line. So the same width from here to here is going to extend down and curve, and we're just going to bridge right off of here, straight down, straight down. We're going to make this new little road, build this little road, this Formline road, and curve, and this is going to extend all the way over to the end. Same width all the way down as best as you can, somewhere around there, and we'll play with that a little bit later to make sure that we have the teeth that are going to be in here. Okay, so for the jaw, we're going to take this part of the mouth on this top part, this line here, and we're going to curve and kind of make a curve, kind of a U-shaped curve right into this line. So here we go. Curve that in, and from this top line here, we're going to make this road, and we're going to build this road and extend it all the way down to here. So off of this top line, extend this road down, keep the same width that's here all the way down so it stays consistent, and it should be the same width, which is going to be pretty close to what's down in the bottom part as well. And this is going to come down, and then just stop there. So now that we have that, we have a couple lines that we're going to erase. So this line down here, we can erase that, so we can open up the gates so that it all flows together. So that back part of that cheek or mouth is going to flow to this line up here. Now that we created this new road, we're going to open up this gate and let that flow through. This back part of the head that we drew, we're going to erase this line so that that all flows down. And then we have this extra kind of leftover line that's cutting across here. We don't really need that anymore. That helped us build our ovoid shape and build off of some of these other things that we were working with here. So it was just kind of a building block that we're going to take down now. So erase that part of it. We're left with this shape here. Let's see. For this, I guess over here, we could close off this little part. When we're working with a bird and we have a beak, we sometimes want to really have that pointy beak on there. But since this is a wolf and wolves don't have beaks, they have lips, the rounded part, we're going to round off this end, this lip here, just a little teeny bit. And so we can do it either rounding down or rounding up. For this one, let's just give it a try and round it up this way. So we're going to come over and taper this up. And once we get to the top, we'll have just a slight little tuck. And maybe we'll come back to this and adjust it slightly when we get the teeth in there, but we'll stick this in for now. Just going to fix this line a little bit here, come across, and then up. Okay. That's good enough for now. All right, now we're going to stick the ear in here. The ear is going to be up on this top side, the back part of the head, and not all the way back. I'm going to come up just a little teeny bit, and then I'm going to make this line that's going to come upwards, and that's where I'm going to come off of. Before I go all the way to the top, though, what we want to do is find the top of the ear, and the top of the ear is going to be the same contour and kind of parallel from the top of the head. So my curve of my head is like this on the top, and so I'm going to come up and say, okay, maybe somewhere around here I'm going to end up putting the ear, and you want a taller ear for a wolf. A gooch has just a taller ear, nice tall long ears. So there's my curve, and it's going to be pretty similar to the curve on the top of my head. Okay, now that I have that there, we're going to come up, extend this up to the top, and out here this ear is going to come down at an angle. So instead of coming straight down, really this is more upwards, and this one's kind of more of a diagonal. So I'm going to end up somewhere maybe around here. So I'm going to put a guideline to that spot. Now that I have it blocked in, we're going to round off the edges. Top edge up here, we're going to go over and curve off the top, come over this side, curve off the top, and this back side is just going to extend right over, maybe a slight curve to kind of connect here, and this is going to flare out and kind of just have a nice little slope coming down on this side. Little slide that flows right into everything else. Everything should flow. That's the idea in this and Formline, is you want everything to flow. And if it's not flowing, then there might be something wrong. You may have to go back and adjust it a little bit. If you see where there's like a stop maybe that shouldn't be there. I'm going to just clean this up a little bit. Now that I have these guidelines there, I got the shape of my ear on the top. Okay, so that's kind of what it's looking like so far. And we're going to take this U shape and turn it into a Formline U. So Formline U is going to have taper from the bottom and then wider towards the top. And we're going to leave this open, so we're not going to start in the far corner. We're going to come out just a little bit so that it connects and flows into our ovoid in our head. So start about here, and then it's going to taper out so that it gets wider towards the top. Same thing on this side. It's going to start down, leave a little bit of open space, and then it's going to come up, open up a little bit wider towards the top. And ideally you want to have these the same width on both sides, as close as you can. You can always make little adjustments. Alright, now the top I'm going to leave a little bit of a space up here, a little bit of a headroom on the top of this U. So I'm going to say maybe somewhere around here, something like that. So curve up, and this curve should be the same shape curve that you have on the top, and this curve should be the same shape curve that you have on that top. So really it's just kind of a reduced, smaller shape that's down there. Alright, come down here, and then a little bit of a flare. Same thing on this side. I'm going to solidify this line, darken it in, and then as I come down, a little bit of a flare out. Now that I have that there, I'm going to darken up this line and just connect it in there, just because we're kind of getting to the point where we're finalizing some of our lines. And can use my eraser, your eraser, and we're going to open up this little gate here. So we left this open, or intended to be open, and now we're going to actually open it. Open up this line over here, we don't need that anymore. This little section, so we're going to open that up. So now this flows into our head design, flows up to the top. I see these guidelines up here that we don't need anymore, so I'm going to knock these guidelines down. It helped us build our shape. Alright, so let's stand out here a little bit. That is pretty much the primary Formline shapes that we're going to use today. Everything else is going to start to be secondary shapes and maybe some tertiary shapes. And so everything in this spot right here is going to be likely just all black. You can fill everything in all black through here, and it's all connected. It just flows together. Flows, flows, flows. Everything flows in. Kind of like if you just had, if these walls were straight up, you poured a bucket of paint inside here, it would just flow into everything here. Everything just kind of touches and opens up and goes around. And that's part of Formline, is creating these forms that share the space, flow, have some balance. All right, let's see. What are we going to do here? How about we'll work with the. Let's go with the nose. So we're going to do a little bit of work in the nose here, little nose job. All right. So inside here, we're going to split this up. We're going to kind of put a T-shaped relief, or sometimes it's kind of like a split U is what it would be called, where this U is here. We're going to split it. It's an oddly shaped U that we have up here because of this curve, but it's still a U shape. And we're going to put a T-shaped relief in here to start off in the far corner now. This one is in the far corner because these are going to be secondary shapes now. So the primary shapes you want to leave open in the corners. The secondary shapes you can close off, and that means close off by just going to the far, far corners. And I'm going to make a rainbow shape to start off with. And the rainbow is going to come up here and then hook around and then end up in this other far corner. And the rainbow shape is not a technical term. It's just kind of a term that I use to describe what it kind of looks like. Kind of looks like a rainbow. Okay, now the rainbow is there. We're going to, I'm going to split this down the middle with an imaginary line, but that imaginary line is going to be a real line that we're going to erase later. And the first thing I'm going to do is going to come up and start to bridge this line on one side of it. So I'm going to not start in the middle of the line. I'm going to start away from the middle slightly and leave a little space, come down, and then as I get down towards that rainbow, I'm going to curve out, swoop in. Okay, and then as I come over here towards the top, this curve is going to turn into kind of like an S shape that we're going to kind of stick in here. And so as this comes towards the top, it's going to curve and kind of just pretend if it were to go in this corner. So if you had an imaginary line from this corner and went all the way up, it would kind of meet that spot. So let's see how that would work. Same thing with the other side. Now I'm going to come up from here, veer off, and try to have the same width on both sides. And as I come up here, this is going to come over and curve down. And as it curves down, we're going to imagine that we're going to go in that far corner. But instead of going in the far corner, we're just going to stop. Kind of a dead end. So by doing that, we have this U shape here, and we have this kind of S shape on this side of it. And now that we have that in there, we're going to erase this imaginary line or guideline that we put in here, and then the top of the rainbow, the very top of the rainbow is going to come out of there. So erase that line, and we're left with this relief, this kind of squiggly S-shape, T-shape relief that's up in the nose. And I think that's it for that.
buenas noches.